BEERUN.
Beer Run
with bros. Oh, yeah. Yo, yiggity yo, dogs. It be the GMDA show. That's Great Minds Drink Alike. I'm your host, the Jose. This is G Money Gavin.
Yo.
On my right, that's your left, sorry. And on my left, your right, is Gare Bear, the executive producer. So guys, we're just coming at you swaggy as fuck today.
Man, you sound sad about it.
I mean, dude, sad or just glad or mad or cad, whatever, man.
I think it's pretty rad.
It's definitely a little rad, guys. So, as you may have or may not have noticed, we have officially launched GMDA Show Gear thanks to Raise.com. That's RaiseCL.com, sorry. RaiseCL.com. Go grab your gear.
Raise stands for Realize All Your Success. It's a great company.
Otherwise known as Realize All Your Swag and
great.
Surf.
Really, it's going to be huge. If you want to be a trendsetter, you should start now because, once everybody's on board, it's not going to be as cool.
Just look, we've already been in talks with some celebrities, some Kims, some Lils. I'm just saying, we got people trying to get our gear, all right? Not to name anyone specifically. There were definitely some K's thrown around. I believe there were some Beliebers out there. Anyway, I mean, just check these out. Check this out. Look
Go to
at
the
that.
top here. Show them the real meat.
Look at that. The Great Minds Drink Alike show. Woo. Who, buddy? And then you got some collab shirts with Raise. Anthony over at Raise definitely killing it with the designs.
We're going to have him on the podcast soon
so
he can tell his story. Tell us how he realizes all his success.
He realizes all his success by being swaggy as F.
For the record, Raise stands for a lot more than just realize all your success.
It does.
Raise CL. R as in radical, for instance.
A as in attical.
Y as in you should really get these.
S as in shit! My Raise t-shirt isn't here yet.
C as in crap! My Raise order got delayed.
No, it didn't. That would never happen.
Well, not because of him, because of obviously one of those...
A catastrophe.
Yeah, C as in catastrophe.
that delays my Raise order. Garrett. L as in...
Those lame UPS drivers making my ships late.
You know what?
So
he should have used stamps.com. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think stamps.com is like V8. Like, should have had it.
Or Staples. That was easy.
Well, we're coming at you live today, guys. So now that you guys know that you need to be out there getting your GMDA and Raise gear, we can announce today's beer, which is not just a beer, but a root beer. Full of nostalgia, so it says. Made, it's actually not your father's root beer. This is not your grandma's podcast, and we're drinking not your father's root beer.
This is definitely not Amelia's father's root beer.
Shouldn't it be called your father's root beer? Why is it not your father's root beer?
Because
whose lame father are they talking about?
I don't know. Who's lame enough to drink this on a reg? Come on.
But this is made by Small Town Brewery. I'm sure most people have heard of it. I've never had it, but I know I have. And shout out to Ryan on Twitter out there for the suggestion. Joey, what do you rate this bad boy?
I don't think there's a scale low enough, guys. To be honest. Look, I might not be a sommelier of beer, but this is definitely not a beer. All right, this is what you give your date when, this is the only thing you can steal out of your parents' fridge when you're in high school, so you drink it.
For the record, though, what does it taste like? Literally tastes exactly like root beer.
It does taste like Muggs.
It doesn't even taste like alcoholic root beer. It just tastes like...
Ooh, question. Do you know what they make root beer out of? What root?
Ooh, yeah, root, of course.
Yeah, it's
It's-
sassafras tea.
Really?
Sassafras, yeah.
What does sassafras look like?
It looks like a tree, but you literally have to cut the tree down, right? And you take the roots, like that's why it's called root beers, because it literally is brewed from the roots. That's a sassafras.
That's an interesting.
So, fun fact: when I was younger, one time a friend of ours, Nick, shout out Nick, we were at camp and we found a tree. It was marked with a yellow thing. We were like, "Hey, yo, camp counselor, dude, broski, do. What is this? What's up with this tree? Why you guys have it marked?" And they were like, "Oh, that's a sassafras tree." And we were like, "Oh, what the hell's up with a sassafras tree?" And they were all like, "Hey, dude, bro, if you didn't know, this is what they make Not Your Father's root beer out of." So
I'm calling bullshit on literally that entire story.
I mean, maybe that wasn't verbatim, but like that definitely happened.
Well, it was a Batum, all right.
Masturbate
Well, after that wonderful intro, so now that we know that root beer is actually sassafras tea, and we know that Not Your Father's root beer is actually root beer, 5.9% alcohol. I mean, it doesn't taste. I mean, it tastes like root beer. If you like root beer, you'll really like this. If you like drinking and you like root beer, this is for you. If you like beer and you don't really like much besides beer, this is probably not for you. If you don't like root beer, it's definitely not for you. So you never gave your rating. You literally gave it a 1?
Honestly, guys, I don't think it's horrible. It's just definitely, in my book, in the Jose's book, it is not beer. It's frilly kind of drink, man. It's just not for me. But on a scale of 1 to 10 of root beer, definitely a 10 because it has alcohol in it.
So I feel like
5.9%.
at some point on this podcast, we're going to have something. I mean, consider this a start. Although they claim this is a beer and it's made at a brewery, are we always going to drink beer? Like, are we never going to have like a scotch or bourbon or anything else?
We'll dabble, guys. This is the Great Minds Drink Alike podcast, and we definitely drink alike because you guys suggested we drink it, and it's the same thing, so we drink alike. Anyway.
So I feel like all that considered, like, your scale shouldn't be just a beer scale.
Okay, fair enough, but in all fairness, we have only done beer so far. So I'm going to say on a scale of 1 to a good alcoholic beverage, definitely, I'm going to say, I'll give it a 6. I'll give it a 6. It wasn't great, but it's not terrible.
Yeah,
it's drinkable.
And it's really rich. Like, you can tell it's super sugary.
I think that's what my problem is with it.
You can tell it's very, because I mean, it is 6% alcohol, so I mean they're covering up something because it literally tastes just like root beer. It doesn't taste like alcoholic root beer. It just tastes like root beer.
And you know, to be honest, I've let mine sit out for a while and it's kind of getting warm. Maybe that's why I don't like it as much.
But I just feel like you drink 3 or 4 of these, my stomach would hurt. I'm gonna give it like. I'm going to give it like 6.5. To be honest, probably closer to a 6. 6.25. But now that we've got the beer out of the way, if you guys want to crack one open and join us, we're going to get into some current events here, Garrett. What do we got?
Yeah, Garrett, what do we got today?
First, I'd like to start off for some social media users. It appears that Snapchat's user... like its daily users have dropped tremendously. It seems to be the newest trend. It lost 3 million daily active users in the second quarter from earlier this year.
Damn,
son. And it seems that Twitter and Facebook have been following suit with the drop. And I'm curious when the new social media or whatever type of website's going to come out, because it usually seems like once
if you think about it, though,
some drops.
Realistically, though, people I feel like it's kind of I've heard it more recently that people are kind of getting over social media, strictly based on people's ability to continue to bitch and moan on social media and then get mad when people go on there and comment on their bitching and moaning to the public. I
mean, I think that it's got to do with the saturation of social media in general, and I think it also so Instagram is not on this list. This I believe this article I could see. Garrett, you should bring it up on the for our watchers. But you could see in one of those paragraphs it tells you that Facebook and Twitter have also had a bit of a tumble, and share prices are down for Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat. But Instagram, not included in this. Instagram, I guess, is still going strong or probably on the rise.
Isn't that the newest, though? The newest of all of them?
No, I believe Snapchat is technically the newest out of all
Yeah, I
of
think
them.
Garrett might be right that Snapchat is. But Snapchat, too, Instagram has stolen, in this, I think this article, if I'm reading it right, says that as well. Like, Instagram stole some of the Snapchat capabilities. So, like, I think there's probably a lot of people that have both Snapchat and Instagram. I think there's a lot of people that have Instagram. I think there's a lot of people that have Snapchat. But I don't think that there's a lot of people that have Snapchat and don't have Instagram. I think there's probably a lot of people who have Instagram and don't have Snapchat.
I don't have Instagram, and I have a Snapchat.
Are you a daily user?
Jose Del Rey, follow me.
And you hang in there with our GMDA Instagram.
I do.
But
I dabble. I've started to dabble on the GMDA Instagram. I will say that I still don't totally understand it. I'm not a picture taker though. Like, I'm not a photographer. I don't like filters. I like real life.
But
I don't like to take pictures of life. I like to live it.
uh,
I don't want to be someone that writes stories. I want the stories to be written about me.
Okay.
And it also says that they did report on seeing some decline in 2017. However, that's only them going public. There is a possibility that it started declining previously.
But I think, too, that there's a different story for each one. Facebook usership is declining because they're still going through an investigation about them disclosing, private information to a company that was then utilized in voter warfare against the United States, which, for those of you out there that think that's conspiracy, there's a lot of facts that you can look up in regards to that. But then also...
But not on CNN. That's fake news.
But then Snapchat had a revamp back in, I think it was November of last year, an update that changed most of the app that a lot of people didn't didn't receive favorable reviews. So I think that, considering that this article is talking about the viewership in the end of the second quarter of this year, I think they're really starting to feel the effects of that over time. And then Twitter, Twitter was the big thing. Everybody used Facebook. They used MySpace, and then they used Facebook, and then people used Twitter. I was reluctant to go to Twitter for a long time because I didn't really see what it was all about. Now I like Twitter because it's a lot simpler than most of the social medias, but I think that's what's hurting them, is that they haven't changed much over time. They've tried to stay simple. So for me, I kind of like that, but I know that most people, especially our age, don't. So I think between the three of them, that's why they're declining. But Instagram's doing new things. A lot of people like the new upgrades. They're stealing away things from Snapchat, like stories, things like that.
Yeah.
A lot of the things that people went to Snapchat for are now on Instagram, and that's why I was talking about, the usership and the overlap. I think that they're stealing some of the qualities of Snapchat, and people were already a little bit pissed about that update. And now here we are, all three of them are declining, but yet you still see people glued to their phones all the time. What are they doing?
What are they looking at? Probably Pornhub. You know what hasn't gone down? Pornhub. Pornhub's still going strong.
Garrett, look that up.
What is the viewership of Pornhub?
Actually, please don't. Don't do it.
This isn't my laptop. So
I guarantee you the viewership of Pornhub has stayed steady or increased, because you know what? There's people turning 18 every day. They get out on their own. Mom and dad aren't around to catch them masturbating anymore. I'm just saying.
And that's how the cookie crumbles.
And that's the way it was.
Well, what else do we got, Garrett? I know there's more than social media.
On what was it? Thursday, August 2nd. Apple, for any stock market viewers, hit a market cap of $1 trillion and hung on to this record valuation market close. iPhone maker became the first publicly traded U.S. company to reach $1 trillion.
Hot damn, son.
For our viewers that don't know out there, I will say market cap is a reference to. So I think everyone knows that there's a stock in the stock market. You have a stock price. Apple, I think, at the day they hit it. Scroll up a little bit, Garrett. Was trading at what 207.39.
Yeah.
So if you multiply the stock price for one share of Apple stock and multiply it by all their outstanding shares, that's how you get the number that is called the market cap. So Apple was the first ever company to be valued at $1 trillion via their market cap.
You know what is crazy? Is that, like, I don't know, man. That's insane. $1 trillion. Like 10 years ago, 1 trillion was not even like a fathomable. Well, maybe not 10 years ago, but definitely 20 years ago. Not a fathomable number for money, like financially.
Like even still today, I feel like I look at like $1 billion as a lot.
And they're worth trillions. And I wonder if that or the E-Trade baby ever got out of the little crib prison and invested. He must be pissed.
Yeah, he wishes he had some Apple stock.
Because apparently riding the dog like a horse is frowned upon in this establishment.
That was a nice throwback to like 3 years ago on the Super Bowl commercial. That was a good Super Bowl commercial.
That was a good Super Bowl. I love those commercials. E-Trade made me want to fucking invest in stock. And I hate stocks.
But so this, for the record, I think this would be a terrible time to invest in Apple.
Oh,
because it's going to go nowhere but slightly down from here. And Amazon will be the next company to hit $1 trillion. I think they're at like 989 billion or something. So
how pissed are you if you're Amazon? Like 989, and then Apple hits $1 trillion. They make shit products, guys.
I feel like how mad are you if you were thinking about investing in Apple and then it just went up? Now it's gonna go like straight down. So you just missed your chances.
See, the thing is, though, like, then you get towards the bottom of this bottle and not your father's root beer, you can start to taste the alcohol a little bit. I mean, I don't know. Anybody who really invests in the market knows.
You're right.
You don't invest in Apple stock expecting it to go up to $1 trillion the next day, which, to be honest, doesn't really, that number in and of itself doesn't affect what your shares sell for. Like, if it went up from 207.30 to 207.39, and that's what pushed them to $1 trillion because they have 4 billion outstanding shares. Like, at the end of the day, that's not going to help you when you go to resell it and you get an extra $1.50 because they went over enough. And also, to be honest, the stock price, although most people think so, isn't really a great. I mean, there usually is a direct correlation between the amount of revenue a company brings in and what their stock is being sold at. But it really has nothing to do, like, the stock price does not affect the company's revenue. You know what I mean? Like, it's not extra money to the company because the stock price gets sold at a higher price.
It is
to the guy that sold it to you.
Right.
The only time the company makes money off stocks is when they initially offer it. It's called an IPO, an initial public offering. Like, at the IPO, the company makes money off of everyone that bought their open shares, their open stock shares. But then after that, they don't make money. The only way they can make money off it then is by doing buybacks, where they buy back some of their own stock. They hope that the stock goes up, and then they sell it again. Or they could sell more shares, like a subsequent share offering. But usually you're going to have an IPO, and then you can split the shares, or, there's some other things you could do, but it doesn't, after the IPO, affect the company's price. So really, this doesn't have a lot to do with Apple directly, other than they're just the largest company in the world.
Is that Frank Mir and Daniel
Garrett, tell the
Cormier?
people about what we're looking at.
So currently we are looking at a.
I really want to hear Garrett pronounce Khabib's last name.
I was honestly just gonna have either you guys do it because I know I'm gonna butcher it.
Nurmagomedov.
But we're talking about the official fight coming up between Conor McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Nurmagomedov.
Nurmagomedov. But yeah, Conor and Khabib Nurmagomedov. I mean,
is he cleared? How did he get cleared to fight? I thought he was at some pending charges.
Khabib?
No, Conor because of the
No,
whole...
he settled.
Yeah, but
He pled guilty and just had to pay like a fine or something.
didn't he get his title stripped? Guys, if you guys didn't know, I had a baby like 6 months ago. Like, not me personally, but somebody I knew.
Scroll up
pretty
a little
close
bit
to
again, Garrett.
But anyway, dude, I haven't been following UFC as closely as I wanted to. The last fight I really watched was Conor, punching at Floyd Mayweather. So I haven't really watched too much fighting since then. But anyway, so didn't he get his title stripped from him?
Yeah, Khabib's got the title. That's why they're fighting.
Oh, so is it an interim title or is it actually a title?
No, it's an. I mean, he hasn't been in the octagon in 2 years. It's for the lightweight championship.
So speaking of Conor, probably sometime in July. Excuse me. So I heard a story. The dude got his Escalade towed in Ireland for being a dickhead.
Is that a crime in Ireland?
For being a dickhead?
Yeah.
No, but I think it is a crime to illegally park your thing and then yell at somebody for telling you that.
I didn't hear that.
Anyway.
I believe you.
So, I mean, what do you guys think? I haven't watched fighting in a while, but I know that Khabib is a beast. But honestly,
dude,
Conor...
he kicks people's ass in a quick and efficient manner. Like, Khabib's pretty nasty, dude.
Yeah, but honestly, like, Conor is a precision fighter. I mean, dude, he's fine-tuned. Like, you could, whatever you want to say about him, the man knows how to punch, and the man knows how to strike, and the man is... Dude, the man is a marketing genius. Like, being the bad guy always is just like, you know, he draws people to his fights. He sells the fight. Fighting Conor McGregor is extremely profitable because he knows how to sell his own fight.
Conor's the best promoter in the world.
Even better than Mayweather.
Which is saying something.
Right. Because that man doesn't have a promoter. Mayweather promotes himself.
Pop these bad boys open for.
Real quick.
I don't know if I'm happy about it or not.
I just want to show you guys this is a pocket knife. That's how we roll.
You did just pop that cap.
That's how
Just
we
hit
roll.
yourself in the face.
Nope, hit myself in the chest though.
All right, Garrett. What else do we got?
Next, man? What do we got next? Let's see what we got next. What do we got next?
So we're gonna continue on with the sports department. UMC, yeah, sports department. And we're going...
Were you trying to figure out if UFC was a sport?
Well, I didn't know if it was... I don't know.
It's a combat sport.
Yeah.
What else would it be, for the record? Just, like, what were you debating in your mind right there? You were like, it's not a sport, it might be a...
I just don't listen to me. Never.
I need to know.
Yes, everyone, please do not listen to this podcast so no one hears Garrett.
But there's...
If you're already 24 minutes in, I'm sorry.
There is male cheerleaders heading to the NFL this season.
Oh, it's freaking... Let me guess.
Yep, the LA Rams and the Saints have added male cheerleaders who will perform the same moves as the women on the field. Some teams already include stuntmen, but they're not considered part of the cheerleading squad.
That's where you lost me. Like, I get the token dude.
Right.
Like, they're really... So the NFL is so... I feel like their public policy rationale is, like, so malleable. Like, if they get a lot of backlash in public, they immediately respond with some sort of rule. For instance, the whole national anthem thing. I mean, they responded to that by all these rules and regulations forcing you to be out there. And now, you know, they got some backlash about that. Which team was it? Do either of you remember in the last couple months it came out that one of the NFL teams did a trip to Europe and they forced cheerleaders to go and they forced them to wine and dine some of their
Sounds like a Bills
corporate
thing.
sponsor.
Wow.
But anyway, I feel like they're doing this in response to that, and they're just token people out there to try to counter the backlash they're receiving for any sort of sexism or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not. No one wants to watch. Guys watch football for the most part. Shout out to Carly Pohl over here, my wonderful girlfriend. She likes watching the Steelers, and it's awesome that she likes football.
watching the
But
Steelers.
most
The Redskins.
90% of girls don't watch football.
Yeah, that is not what you were talking about. I didn't. I don't think.
NFL cheerleaders reportedly
Well,
forced pose
The
topless. in front of
Redskins
cameras?
is who it was. That's right. But yeah, they were forced to pose topless in front of like some major sponsors, but they were also forced to go to dinner with some of those guys too.
Shit.
They basically turned their cheerleaders into an escort service. So now dudes have to dance in the NFL because of that.
Well, I'm gonna be completely honest. Speaking strictly as a heterosexual male, if the cheerleaders would like to start dancing or posing nude, I'm not opposed to it. But as a father of a 6-month-old daughter, that's cold. That's gross. You guys are nasty people.
One of the females said they weren't putting a gun to our heads, but it was mandatory for us to go.
But anyway, I feel
cheerleaders
like
get paid?
they're responding.
Not a lot, I
Not a
don't
lot.
Dude, I'm not.
Dude, we've had substitute teachers at Beach Grove that were also like NFL and Colts cheerleaders.
I guess kind of what my point is like, you, even to consider not quitting a job to try to force me to do some shit I'm not comfortable with, you'd have to pay me a lot of money. A lot of money. Like right now, my job, if you were like, hey, you guys have to come in Speedos, like, ooh, guys, you don't pay me nearly enough to even consider doing that.
Yeah, I think in this picture you can see some of the males. I believe that's one right there. Or one right here. I didn't know there were that many
Okay,
cheerleaders.
so you know, for the record, not only are they guys, but they're also ethnic guys.
Wow.
So like, if it's not so obvious that they're doing this purely for diversity and recovering PR, I don't know what could make it more obvious.
Here's my question. Like, what happened to just the token, like, strong male cheerleader that just threw people really high in the air? Like, why couldn't they just hire them? Like, still male cheerleaders, but still, I don't know. I don't know.
Oh no, maybe that's what they want to do. I mean, I'm assuming that's what.
But
they
you
want to
said
do.
that they want to perform the same moves as the female cheerleaders, right?
Yeah,
You said they were going to, is what the article said.
Well, we don't know, guys. This could be fake news.
Maybe. Is it Fox? Oh,
No.
it's not. All right. What's next, Garrett? What else we got?
Staying in NFL news, we're gonna go over to Green Bay.
Close out that window.
Oh, well, that was great.
Technical difficulty.
Aaron Rodgers was not pleased with the performance of his young wide receivers during a particular session at practice. And there is.
You can bring up the screen.
Yeah.
Playing a video with the screen.
Oh.
Yo!
It was one of the worst practice sessions we've had. I don't know how you can make it any simpler. You literally have what the play would be in our terminology on the card. And the effort level is very low. Especially what I'm accustomed to. I've been running that period for a number of years. So it's not a good start for us on the carded period. For the young guys. I think the NC has really progressed. GMO. Obviously 16, but everybody else was good sport.
They said everybody else was a good sport.
Was
Piss
poor.
poor.
Oh.
So for the record, that was probably kind of hard to hear for the viewers and listeners at home, but Aaron basically named off like 2 or 3 of the team's top receivers, like Jordy Nelson and I didn't even hear the couple others that he mentioned.
Jordy Nelson's not even on the team anymore.
He's not?
Nah.
Where does Jordy Nelson play now?
I don't know.
I just assumed that he wouldn't have been one of the piss poor ones. Well, anyway, I mean, he just called out the whole receiving core then. He named like 2 or 3 players.
He plays for the Raiders. Jordy Nelson plays for the Raiders.
Oh, poor Aaron Rodgers. He's screwed.
Right, that's probably why he's so pissed.
But he called out basically the whole wide receiving squad. The whole depth chart, it said that they were piss poor in practice. So,
yeah.
And he said how high of a caliber he was used to and how low of a caliber he has now.
Yeah, I guess they didn't bring back Jordy Nelson, drafted 3 wide receivers to try and, I guess, fill up the spot.
Well, you know, I kind of like this play because, you know what? Like, he is one of, you know, people probably look at Brady as the best quarterback in the NFL. Fair enough. I won't argue that. I think there's a lot of credit to go to Belichick for that. But,
Agreed.
You know, I think Rodgers is probably almost unanimously top 3. I mean, probably number 2 in most people's books.
Oh, for sure.
And you know what? If they're piss poor, tell them they're piss poor. I mean, if they don't respect you enough as the second best quarterback and they're out there being lackadaisical, you need to be called out.
And honestly, as a quarterback on any team, like, you are the leader. You know, you're the core. Like, you are looked at as the person, like, as the face of the team. You know what I mean? And you have to be able to demand respect and demand a certain level of effort out of your squad in order to perform at a high caliber. So honestly, even if he was a rookie quarterback going out, he should still tell them they're piss poor if they're playing piss poor. You know, because otherwise then you end up like the Bills. You know, or Mark Sanchez.
I think as a rookie, a lot of times, though, I wouldn't give you enough respect to think that you had enough frame of reference to be confident enough to go out there and be calling.
I mean, I agree, but I feel like as the person who's out there calling plays and out there running an offense and, you know, essentially running a major part of the team, like, you have to have the balls or have enough confidence in yourself and your ability to lead a team to say, hey guys, like, you're playing piss poor. Like, this is not the level of football we need to play. And and as an actual leader of the team, if you have a quarterback that can't do that, you need to let him know that that's his job, that's what he needs to do, or take it upon yourself to tell the team that they're playing piss poor. Because, you know, honestly, if you have a quarterback that's too afraid to tell his squad that they're not playing well enough, I mean, you're probably not going to have a very successful squad.
I would agree with that. You need your quarterback to be confident and to communicate, for sure.
Definitely. A-Rod is just he's just a good looking dude.
See your favorite quarterback, Joey?
I mean, he just grows a great beard, man. And
dude, we grow better beards than him.
You're right. You're right. This thing's thick. You can lose a finger in here. Get at me, A-Rod.
What else do we got, Garrett?
I don't think you brought this up, but I kind of wanted to bring it up because of the whole, the Hall of Fame, the NFL and stuff like that, and Terrell Owens. But isn't he trying to, like, kind of make a comeback? Like, isn't he going to the CFL?
I think he played in the CFL last year.
I don't think he played. I think he practiced with a team recently, though.
Well, I know at the beginning of last season, he kept talking about how he could come back, or he could still perform, or something like that.
Yeah, he's been like.
If he didn't play, I know he at least tried out last year.
Yeah, Terrell Owens works out for CFL team after Hall of Fame induction. It was the
Saskatchewan
Rough Riders.
Rough Riders?
Rough Riders!
But,
Saskatchewan.
So what's your question, Gary? Just what do we think about it in general?
Yeah, what do you think about, player as himself, now a Hall of Fame player?
I think that...
Honestly, I feel like Terrell Owens kind of still had a little bit left in him when he left. You know, like I mean, he was a hard player to get a team to commit to, just because I feel like he was kind of a whiny bitch. But you know, like I mean, the man could play.
The few things I'll say about it is, one, when you think of somebody that goes to the Hall of Fame, they were a great player in their sport, right? Terrell Owens was a good player who sometimes did great things, but I don't know that he always made his teams better. Like, there was some times where he, you know, I don't know how many Hall of Fame players in their prime get cut by good teams. So I thought that he was on the verge anyway, and considering what he's trying to do, I honestly feel like it's all kind of a PR stunt. And anybody who knows anything about Terrell Owens probably wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. And I don't know how much he deserved to be there anyway. And the other weird part is, for a guy like Terrell Owens, who was probably a lot more about me than he was we, you would think that he would really revel in going to the Hall of Fame. I mean, that's the ultimate me achievement.
Yeah.
Like I heard Brian Urlacher talking on Mike and Mike a few mornings ago, and he was also inducted in this class. And he was talking, you know, they asked him how he felt about it. Did it feel like a pinnacle achievement? And, you know, is this something that you envisioned would happen to you when you played? And Urlacher's response was, no, it was something I never thought about, because you don't think about personal accolades when you're playing
A team
sport. You think about getting victories, which is a team activity.
Right.
And, like, I think T.O. was probably a guy who, when he was playing, did think about going to the Hall of Fame. And I think that this, to me, it shows how much of a PR stunt it was, because he values that even more than getting the actual football accolade. Like, this was probably something he really dreamed about, and he valued the PR that he would get out of skipping the thing and using that as an excuse for PR more than he even valued the experience of going to the Hall of Fame.
And honestly, I feel like that's a great point, but I feel like that's kind of along the lines of kind of what a lot of team sports are doing, like basketball specifically. I feel like a lot of players are really about me instead of we. You know what I mean?
Like a Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, like you're all about your name and what you do and your stats. You could give a shit less about what your team did or how your team fared in a tournament. But like, yo, you got 15 triple doubles. Like, okay, fair enough, but you're still sitting on the bench when other teams are playing because you didn't do shit. Like, as a team, like, you're in a team sport. You should have gone and done something, a solo sport, if that's what you were about.
Yeah.
Like, it's easy to talk about all your achievements in a team sport, but whenever, like, I guess coming from a wrestling background, like I wrestled in high school, so you practiced as a team, you scored as a team, but at the end of the day, when you were on the mat and you were wrestling the other guy, your team wasn't with you. You were alone on the mat wrestling the other person, and you won or lost on your own, you know. And so to think of people like in football, like anytime I ever lost a football game, I wasn't about like, oh well, I did all right. Like I had a pretty solid couple runs and I had a couple touchdowns. I was shitty that I lost as a team, and anytime I won as a team in wrestling, it still didn't help the fact that I lost as a sole wrestler. So I don't know. I guess it's just kind of a different mindset of team, like a team sport versus a solo athlete.
Right. And like you said, I mean, it's kind of a weird dynamic too. A team, you know, your win and loss is judged as a team, but the actual sport itself is practiced so low. It's different. You know,
Yeah.
I think that does take a different mindset. You should probably like the guys that you're with and want everyone to get better, but at the same time, you know, like you said, it is just you and them. It is just you and another guy on the mat. But that's what, you know, I think that's what's different in football, and that's why T.O. to me, I don't know. I don't want to say he wasn't a Hall of Famer, but man, I just feel like he made a big deal out of this for a guy to me who, at best, barely got in.
He wasn't like. I don't.
Shoo-in for sure. I
don't know if it's like classes. It's been a while since I've really watched the Hall of Fame.
Excuse me.
But I don't know if it's like classes or not. But there was like, I know it's divided into like separate sections. I know there's like first, which Brian Urlacher probably was in, and I'm pretty sure Terrell Owens was like second.
Second ballot.
Yeah. Second.
I don't know what the total years after your retirement is, but there is a set number of years before you can be considered for induction. I do know that Brian Urlacher was a first ballot. I would imagine that Terrell Owens wasn't, but I don't know that. Was he second ballot?
No, I'm pretty sure I saw some on the news while we were in Florida because it was talking about it.
Okay.
Him, not going, and I'm pretty sure it said he was second ballot, and that's why it was so angry.
See,
I don't know.
And here's the thing, like, kind of sitting here thinking about it more as we're talking about it, Gavin made a great point, is I feel like in football specifically, like, in my mind, a Hall of Famer is a person that when you ask his teammates and you ask his coaches and you ask, if you asked, like, viewers of the sport, like, a Hall of Famer in a team sport is a person that you're like, damn, he was a damn good teammate, and damn, he was he was a performer on his own, but he performed to further his team and to make his team better, and he did it all for his team. Like, in my mind, a team sport athlete that's a Hall of Famer is someone that you could say he was a damn good teammate. At the end of the day, all said and done, like when I guess whenever you look at like linemen and D-backs that maybe don't, or defensive linemen that maybe don't get as much attention on a day-to-day basis, but whenever they get inducted in the Hall of Fame, they're like, they were a damn good teammate. Like, they worked to make their team better every single time. They went out there and they busted their ass every play to help their team. Like, their focus was the team, and that's what makes them a Hall of Famer. You know what I mean? And so I guess in thinking on that line of thought, like, I don't agree that Terrell Owens was a Hall of Fame.
I mean, his team. There were several of his teams, like the 49ers and the Eagles. Didn't even think that he was worth keeping then.
Yeah.
Let alone look at him and say, well, he's one of the best receivers of all time. So. Long story short, I think that there was a lot of contention around that, a lot of PR, and it wasn't worth all that. And I guess good luck to Terrell Owens. But Garrett, what else do we got?
We got LeBron James,
LBJ,
Lakers.
I promise.
Star player.
I promise.
Is having the idea that President Trump is using athletes to split the country, and he's rejecting the premise like an opponent's ill-advised layup.
Is that a reference to LeBron's chase down block ability?
I would assume so, and his ability to goaltend, but that's a conversation for another day.
All right, so Garrett is clearly not a fan.
I'm not necessarily either, but he's a great player. Anyway.
But he said in an interview, quoting what I've noticed over the past few months, is he's kind of used sports to divide us, and that's something that I can't relate to. He's referring to the Colin Kaepernick situation, which pretty much started NFL players kneeling during the national anthem, and
I think he's also referring to the "shut up and dribble" comment President Trump's, comment made by him.
I mean,
what do you think, Joey?
I feel like first of all, just because that was the last thing that was said, President Trump's "shut up and dribble" comment, like, he was a businessman. He was not a politician. So in that sense, like, he's telling them to stay to their own craft. Like, maybe you should have stayed in business and stayed out of politics, dude. Like,
That's actually a really good point.
Or maybe
You
you
know,
should have
you-
stayed in politics and stayed out of
Business.
athletics,
Oh, true. Fair enough.
sports.
Like, I mean, look, I feel like when you kind of look at like the original, like so the national anthem is just like a part of what the full actual national anthem is. And when you look at the full national anthem and not just the part that people know of today, it actually is kind of a little bit racist. But at the same,
full Star Spangled Banner is.
look it up. Look up the lyrics right now of the like the original full Star Spangled Banner. But at the same time, I feel like we have a society that's like, hey, you have the freedom of speech. Hey, you have the freedom to think, feel, and do whatever you want. But hey, only do it whenever it's beneficial to you. If you feel that athletes should just shut up and dribble, they shouldn't have political
So
statements.
when you say beneficial to you, you mean
Like-
to the person saying it?
Yeah, like people saying like, oh, you're just an athlete, just play your sport, don't make a political statement. Like that's where they choose to make their political statements. That's like saying all these people that go online and make their political statements on their Facebook pages or on memes or on YouTube videos or whatever the case is. Like, okay, we'll keep that political opinion on Facebook. Facebook is meant to be social and to interact with other people, not to berate people because they don't believe the same thing you do. Like, you don't get to pick and choose where people have a freedom of speech. You know what I mean? Like, if Colin Kaepernick wants to kneel on the national anthem, then he gets to. Like, you know, you can't tell people when and where they get to use their freedom of speech or their freedom of living in the good old U.S. of A.
I'm with you. I think, you know, kind of my take on it is that I think LeBron's done some good things recently with the I Promise School, and I think LeBron has good intentions. I don't, you know, I guess I might be biased, but I don't think that Trump always has the greater goods interest at heart. I think that both of them are kind of getting into a realm though. So like with the whole national anthem thing, what Colin Kaepernick tried to do, I feel like he had a constitutional right to do what he did. Although most people want to say that, but you don't have all your constitutional rights by an employer. An employer can limit your constitutional rights as a condition of employment. If my employer says I have to stand up, then I got to stand up. And especially in a free will state like Indiana, you could be fired for not doing it. I mean, that's just fact. Mm-hmm. So the NFL has a right to regulate what they do, although people don't like it and they think that they shouldn't. I mean, these guys are making millions of dollars for playing a child's game. Yeah. At the end of the day, the NFL can legally reserve the right to limit what they do. And you can have a policy argument about that, but they do have that right. However, I think that Colin Kaepernick had good intentions, and at the time there was no rules against it in the NFL, and there certainly wasn't any federal rules against it. And, you know, he did it for a good cause. And then Trump and the conservatives turned it into this. And there's even, I think there was people on both sides that liked it, to be honest. But we think of the people that attacked it as being the president and most of the conservatives. But then they changed the whole message of it all. So then the whole thing has turned into a debate. As other players started to do it, now it's just a debate of whether or not it's a thing that can even be done. See that's why I don't like it anymore. They watered down a good message to start, and now it's turned into something where it's just another thing that's divided us. It's just like LeBron said, that's exactly what it's done. Like, no one even really thinks about the message that was. It's now the message that is. And the message that is that we're strongly divided about it. You know, people, especially, like, if we had a discussion with any of our grandparents right now, I think they would all hate it.
Well, Dad,
that's just the reality.
Dad, I know, hates it.
And I would never do it myself, but I'm also a believer in, I don't think I know enough that I can tell other people what they should and shouldn't do. So, it's a thing that's divided us, and it's a thing it's grown out of proportion. I do agree with LeBron that, regardless for whatever side between the athletes and Trump, there's probably some wrongs on both sides, but our president shouldn't have time for this. Is the bottom line to me. What's the goal here? Why are we worried about this in the White House? It kind of baffles me. But
kind of like along the lines of what you said, I guess is, I feel like when it first happened, Colin Kaepernick didn't go out and say, hey, send out a mass tweet and say, hey, we're all going to kneel for the national anthem because of this. He did it. People asked him why he did it. He told them why he did it. Other people agreed and started doing it. And then it was for a cause that he believed in. And now it's become, I think towards the end it became, well, they're telling us not to, so now we're just going to fucking do it. Now it's not, you're like you said, it got watered down from what it was to just doing it because people tell you can't do it.
Right, exactly. It's because Trump said something. If they do anything to retaliate against it, then they're just doing it to retaliate. So then it's just he said, she said, he's right, he's wrong kind of thing. And it's like, wait, so what about the whole police brutality against blacks,
right.
Police brutality against African Americans that just kind of got glossed over. So then it's like, and also I think the people who say that Kaepernick doesn't understand or something, I mean, this is kind of going down a rabbit hole now. I'll keep it brief, but the people that try to say that Kaepernick is really disrespectful and that he didn't know, I mean, he lost his job. He got blackballed from the NFL, and he is still, I know, you could look it up, he's still got, charitable foundations, and he's still fighting for the same cause that he knelt for in the beginning. So if anyone says that he didn't give up anything, I mean, he gave up a dream job to do what he believed was right. So I do feel like regardless of the level of disrespect that people may perceive about his action, he sacrificed for it, and it was something he believed in. I think he had genuine intentions.
Yeah, and it's sad honestly to see that his initial intention was watered down to simply a pissing contest.
Right. And over, he lost everything. And
right. Whether you believe in his cause or not, it's his cause. It doesn't need to be yours, but it's sad that people used that platform or that topic to have a pissing contest with the president, and that the president of the United States involved himself in a pissing contest with athletes over literally an employee-employer
question. Yeah, which is exactly what it was. Anyway, Garrett, let's do one more.
Well, since we talked about Trump a little bit, let's go on to a DC hotel that was created. I believe it was either the idea was created or it was created in 2016 before he was announced president. But it's starting to become possibly a conflict of interest issue.
He knew what he was doing. I'm just going to say that.
Said victory and soon became a magnet for Trump's failures. 18 months into the Trump presidency, NBC News analysis of public feelings and social media indicates substantial spending of the hotel by federal agencies, Trump's political allies, and foreign governments. So it's possibly a conflict of interest for the President Trump.
To use his own hotels to stay at and keep all of the federal agents that travel with him in. I would have to say, yeah, that's a little bit of conflict of interest. And is he charging the United States government for him to stay in his own hotel? Because how the fuck is that?
Well, he is, because the president constantly has to have a huge, expensive security detail. Okay. So no matter where he goes, he's charging the United States
fair
government.
Enough, but I mean him personally. Is he charging the United States government for him to take his own rooms that he has in his hotels for himself?
I don't know. I saw Darren Revelle tweeted today that the president has spent nearly 25% of his days as president on a Trump resort of one sort or another.
25%.
It was like 24 point something percent. Yeah. So I don't know where he got his math, but that Darren Revelle of ESPN tweeted that earlier today. So if that's the case, it's like, I think at some point, yeah, he has charged the government to stay at his own hotel. I feel like it's just over that period of time it's had to have happened.
I don't see in what light that isn't a conflict of interest. Like, I don't see how that couldn't be. Like, hey, of all hotels, we're going to stay at my hotel. Everywhere we go, we're going to stay at my hotels, and we're going to charge the U.S. government for me to stay at my own hotel.
Not only that, but if he's probably had to pay for some sort of upgrades at one of these places or another, especially if he's been spending 1 out of every 4 days there. Like they've had to probably install some sort of bulletproof glass in the penthouse or something. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
There has to have been something. But also, I mean, this is kind of just the president's wheelhouse. It's what he did before he came into office. You know, that hotel was going to be there whether he was president or not. It was in D.C. Trump hotels are pretty. I've never had the money to stay at one, but I know how nice they supposedly are. I know that this DC hotel is a 5-star hotel. I mean, the building looks beautiful.
It's insane.
I mean, and I think it says it's a former post office. That seems impossible, but it's
got to be built up.
You would want to stay there anyway, I think.
I mean, I would personally.
Honestly.
I'd want to stay there. Honestly, dude, so I was in New York in 2016. Yeah, December of 2016. I was in New York, and we were walking by the hotel, like Trump Hotel, and it was blocked off, like already black cars all over the place. You couldn't even walk on the same side of the street as the Trump Hotel because of security. And like, yeah, I mean, his hotels are nice and all, but like, still, how is it not a conflict of interest to pay himself or the U.S. government for him and all his buddies to stay, or well, not buddies, but security to stay there? You know what I mean? Like, they have a White House. They have an entire like wing of the White House is the residence. It's like where, you know, the presidents stay, not in your hotel room where you're charging the American people to stay at your place.
I also think too, he renounced ownership of Trump Enterprises. I think none of us are stupid enough to think that after his presidency he's not going to go back to that, but I think there's some technicalities that come in there where it's probably not literally a conflict of interest.
But it is.
I don't know. More of that will be seen. I'm sure CNN will berate it for the next 6 months. Garrett, I said that was the last one. Let's finish on a funny story. Yeah, let's go with the NASCAR story.
NASCAR CEO Brian France takes indefinite leave following DUI drug possession charges. So this man is literally in charge of drug testing and making sure that drivers
aren't driving 220 miles an hour on narcotics or drunk, and he gets arrested for being drunk and having narcotics. I mean, the irony is pretty freaking funny.
So here's my question. Is there, like, in his mind, is there, like, a cutoff? Like, dude, you can go 60 miles an hour drunk and intoxicated, but you can't go 100.
Right. Like, dude, you could be as drunk as you want, Mr. Stewart, but you can't do it outside of pit lane.
Right.
Like, if you stay on pit road, you could be drunk as a skunk. But it's when you hit that 100-mile mark, man. It's dangerous then.
It's like, dude, like, you've just lost all credibility, you moron.
Wow.
Who's the new CEO? Does it say anywhere?
He's just on indefinite leave, so I don't even think they formally fired him yet. But good
Role
Lord.
of interim chair, chief executive officer Jim France.
Okay.
Bill
so
France Sr.
Jim France. has assumed the role of interim
Oh,
chairman.
Wait, what was this guy's name?
Brian France.
Brian France.
So
So
this
his
is like his
fucking
brother?
Okay, but the founder, Bill France Sr. So his dad or his uncle? So his uncle is the person that founded the NASCAR. So of course they're gonna keep it in the family.
Good.
And watch it does Jim. Does Jim? He's like, you know what? We're gonna pardon Brian because people make mistakes.
Wait, so the CEO was his nephew and not his son?
Well, his son.
So
must
he
have been a big
trusted
old piece of
his
shit.
nephew way more.
Maybe his son
And
didn't
he
want to go
trusted his
into it, or
son.
maybe he
That
didn't
could be
have a
true,
son.
too.
Maybe he
No,
had a bunch
that's Jim France is the son of NASCAR.
Maybe Jim France is 20 and Brian France is 50. I mean, there could be a lot of reasons.
And Brian France. Well, honestly,
Or maybe Jim France was getting DUIs back in the day, and now he's went to rehab and recovered. But Brian always secretly disliked him some oxycodones and.
What if Bill France Sr. was like, you know what, Jim? You're just not responsible enough, Like, I can totally see you screwing this up. Brian, take the reins. And now he is rolling over in his grave, I assume?
If he founded NASCAR, you'd think, but.
That he's like, son of a bitch, Brian. You really had to prove me wrong? You mother... Good Lord.
Bill was like, Brian, take the lead. And Brian was like, hold my beer.
All right, Uncle Bill, hold my beer.
Garrett, that's an excellent note to end on. What do we got? As Garrett pulls up our outro music, guys, please go to raisecl.com and cop your gear. You can realize all your success, realize all your swag, Raise and GMDA. We got some shirts on there. If you guys are interested, get some.
Please. Go grab your
To be
gear,
honest with you,
show some support.
any money we make, which to be completely frank is very minimal per t-shirt, goes right back into the cost of this podcast. So if you want to support, please do. But other than that, this has been GMDA episode 7. Episode 8 to come next week. We'll see you then.
Yeah, please keep an eye out. We'll be putting up posts for you guys to interact and win some stickers and possibly some free t-shirts. Keep a lookout. Thanks for joining us.